Hi guys. Okay, so this is part two for Shaurya, Alana, Kirill, and Ryan. And we are still working on booklets from 3/19/20. So this one is your, let me focus the screen here. Okay, heuristics in focus, 34 to 36 HF. So you should see a green triangle and a blue square. So heuristics, we know heuristics books, which we talk a lot about in class, are books that help us really become better problem solvers. And so every time we go through a heuristics booklet, we're learning different strategies to become critical thinkers, okay? And so some of the heuristics booklets are a lot of fun because we get to do a lot of problem solving. So in this one, we are going to solve part of the problem, okay? So when we break problems up into different parts to solve, it makes the problems easier to solve, right? So when we break the problem into different parts, like two parts, to solve, we try to solve the easy part first. And then usually when it's paired with what we call the simplify the problem strategy. So let's take a look at this example. So how many more triangles than squares are there, okay? So how many more triangles than squares? So we're using some visual discrimination here as well. So we have a green triangle and we have a blue square. The triangles come in different sizes, okay? So this comes in different sizes. The squares come in different sizes too. So to find out how many more, we know that we have to find the total number of triangles and squares first. So let's solve the problem, okay? All right, so let's take a look at this. We're gonna learn how many more triangles than rectangles are there. So we have to find how many more triangles and rectangles there are. There are small rectangles. There's a big triangle made up of the small triangles. Oh, I see that. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 small ones, and I have a real big one right here, okay? And then there are small rectangles, and there's a big rectangle made out of the small ones. So there's my two small ones, and then I can go all the way around and make a big one. And we also know that there are more triangles than rectangles, okay? So over here, how many different triangles do you see? How many different triangles do you see? Well, when we looked at this, we saw these small ones. Okay, so that's one type of triangle, and we saw a big one. So that's a second type of triangle. So we see two types of triangles. How many different types of rectangles do you see? Again, we saw a small one and a big one. So we see two types of rectangles. Were you able to find the total number of triangles and rectangles? So let's solve part of the problem to find the answer. Were we able to find the total number of triangles and rectangles? So we're going to start by solving a small part of the problem. So we're going to just add up the small triangles, okay? So I can count 1, 2, 3, 4 small triangles and one big triangle. So four small and one big, okay? It's made up of all 4 triangles. It's made up of one triangle. So we have 4 small ones, one big one, okay? So we are going from part, small triangles to the whole of one big triangle, all right? So 4 plus 1 is 5, so we have 5 triangles in all. All right, so over here, again, we're gonna start with the 2 small and then the 1 big. So rectangles, 2 small, and 1 big, okay? So 2 plus 1 equals 3. So there are 3 rectangles. But the question asked us, how many more triangles than rectangles are there? So we have one more step. We know there are 4 triangles and 3 rectangles, right? So what we need to do, there are 5 triangles, and there are 3 rectangles, So to find out how many more triangles there are than rectangles, we have to subtract. 5 minus 3 is a difference of 2. There are 2 more triangles. So just be careful with this book. It's really, really wordy, but it's going to help you break visual models into smaller pieces or smaller chunks, okay? So let's answer these reflective questions. Count the number of small triangles again. Are there only 4? We're just checking. Were there 4? Yes, we did check that earlier. The big triangle is formed by 4 small triangles. Are there any other big triangles formed by 4 or fewer small triangles? No, we just saw that those 4 small triangles made the bigger one. Count the number of small rectangles again. Are there only 2 small rectangles? Yes, we only saw 2. Did you answer the question how many more triangles than rectangles there were? Yes, because we said, well, there are 5 triangles minus the 2 rectangles. Okay, all right, so let's look at the guided practice. So we have a line here. And you can draw this with me. Okay, you can draw this with me. So we have A, B, C. So we have A, B, C. Okay, so starting with A, how many lines are there that include both of these line segments? So A to B is 1 line. Oops, let me grab a better marker. Here we go. So that's 1 line. And B to C, or no, A to B, and then A to C, okay? So A to C, how many lines do you have? You have 2. So you're gonna write 2. We have 2 lines here. Now, what about when we start with B? So we started with A, and we said we could make a line from A to B and then A to C. But what if we started at B? For B, we can only make B to C, because if we did BA, that would be the same thing as AB, okay? All right, so we have 2 lines here that start with A, and we have 1 line here that starts with B. Question says, how many lines are there in the figure below? Well, we have 1, 2, 3. 3 lines. 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay? All right, I solved part of the problem by identifying the different lines first. I have an AB, and I have an AC, and I have a BC. Those are the only 3 lines that we have here. All right, moving right along. Okay, let's look at this one. How many flat faces do 2 cubes have? How many more, sorry, I read that wrong. How many more flat faces do 2 cubes have than 2 cones, okay? So we solved part of the problem by finding the number of flat faces for 2 cubes. For 2 cubes. So we have, let me grab a cube. Here's a cube, okay? We have a cube. Now, a cube is made up of how many flat faces? Well, let's see. We can count all of the sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a face is the flat part, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the top is 5 and the bottom is 6. So a cube has 6 faces, right? And how many cubes do we have? We have 1 cube, we have 2 cubes, right? So this one has 6 flat faces, this one has 6 flat faces, or we can say 2 groups of 6, which is going to give me 12. Okay, so either way. So now I want you to go ahead and draw that inside of your booklet here. okay? And if you need to hit pause, that's fine, but go ahead and draw that. So we figured out our cubes. So now we're gonna figure out our cone. And while you're drawing that, I'm gonna go grab a cone. Okay, here we go. So I have my cone here. Okay, so this is my cone, right? And we know that a cone, kind of like an ice cream cone, well, this part is not a face, okay? This flat part right here is what we call a face. So it only has one face. So we can draw our little cone, okay? And a cone has one face, so we have two of them, right? And so we can say 1 plus 1, or we can say 2 groups of 1 equals 2. All right, but the question is asking, how many more flat faces do 2 cubes have than 2 cones? Well, we figured out the 2 cubes, right? 2 cubes had how many faces? 6 and 6, so 12. And 2 cones had 2 faces. So we need to find the difference. We need to find the difference. So we know that 10 faces, a cube has 10 more faces. 2 cubes has 10 more faces than 2 cones. 2 cubes has 10 more faces, and that's what you're going to write at the bottom. 2 cubes have 10 more faces. Well, okay, faces. I was going to say flat faces. That would be fine too. Have 10 more flat faces than 2 cones. If you have to pause this and write this down at the bottom of your booklet, I would suggest that you do that, and then you can hit play again to continue playing on. Okay, so that's that. So this is all of what you're doing here. Let me just review with you. Okay, so lines here. So we're going to have, I'm going to help you fill this out really quickly. We have A, B, C, D. Okay, so we have A, B, C, D. So all the lines starting with A. We have an AB, we have an AC, and we have an AD. So you have those 3 here. You have AB, you have AC, you have AD. Okay, so that's 3 lines total. All right, so now starting with B. So you have a BC and you have a BD. So BC and BD. We're not going to do BA because that would be the same thing as AB. And then for C, you have a CD. So this is CD. All right. So we solved part of the problem by identifying all of these different lines first, okay? And then we can quickly add them up. So now we have 3 plus 2 plus 1. So 6 total. There are 6 lines in the figure. There are 6 lines in the figure. Okay? All right. So that's that's basically how you are going to go through this, okay? You have a great example that we already did. Just be careful, you know that these all have 6 faces, 1 face. What about a cylinder? Well, a cylinder has a face on the top and a face on the bottom, okay? Now, I want you to turn to page 12. Page 12 looks a little bit tricky, but it's really not. So, made up of 1 triangle. How many of these pieces is made up of 1 triangle? We have 1, 2. 2 pieces that are made up of triangles. Made up of 2 triangles, okay? So with 2 triangles, we have this piece here, right here. That's that. And we have this. That's 2 triangles. Okay, so that's 2 triangles. And then made up of these what about these 2 tiny pieces put together? Well, that's these 2 tiny pieces, so there's only 1 of those. And then made up of all 4 pieces, there's only 1, okay? So that's how you do that. And the same thing with the square, okay? What about these tiny squares? How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And the big square, there's only 1, this whole thing, okay? So we solve part of the problem by identifying the total number of triangles and squares in the table. So we have how many more triangles and squares? Well, how many triangles do we have? How many triangles? 2, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 triangles, right? And how many squares do we have? We have 5, and we have to find the difference, and that would be 1. Okay? So we can say there is one more triangle than a square. All right, so lots of great examples, but please slow down because these parts can be very tricky. You can always refer back to this example on page 12 and 13 to help you along the way, okay? And then the very last booklet, guys, is just really independent practice. It's just comparing amounts of money. We have done this so much in class, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time. I want to see how much independent work you can do with this booklet. But comparing amounts of money, look at the items on sale in Mr. Richard's shop. Fill in the blanks with the correct answer. So he has a desk for $99, a chair for $22.40, a lamp for $18.50, a coffee table for $80.10, and a vase for $27.60. So we need to write which one is the cheapest, okay? What does the word cheapest mean? Cheapest means least expensive. Cheapest, least expensive, okay? So if we go back over here, which one is the cheapest? That would be the lamp, okay? The blank is the most expensive. So expensive means costs the most, okay? So the desk costs the most. List the 3 items that cost more than $30. List the 3 items that cost, list the item that costs less than $19, list the item that costs more than $90. So a lot of language here. Please be careful, really slow down and read. And towards the back, we're just doing a quick review on money. So just go through and count up the money, and then you're going to be comparing those dollar amounts. Again, this is just a review book, so please, please, please do this independently. I really don't think you need any help with this. More so, focus on these 2 books. And guess what, everybody? No bar modeling this week. You guys are so lucky that you didn't have to do any bar modeling, but we will get back to it very, very soon with the bar modeling. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying this beautiful day. It's nice and warm. Go outside and take a walk and just enjoy this fresh air. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.